Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I am making pasta today because I'm making macaroni and cheese, and I am going to show you one. Now this is my way. I'm going to pour everything into my pot, even all of this down here, which are the building blocks of protein. I'm going to add more water because I'm going to need more. If you have vegetable stock, you could do that. Beef, chicken, whatever you have. It's just I have whey open, so I'm going to go ahead and use my whey. Now when I'm done cooking my pasta in this way, what is ever left, I cool it down and I throw it into my garden, so it's not wasted and it doesn't go down the drain. Alright. Now for my pasta machine, the one that I have to put in 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I also have the disc that I'm using. Using a teaspoon of salt, I don't need that enough. And we're going to need 1.5 cups of semolina flour. Remember, whole grains have to be kept in the refrigerator or the freezer. I throw mine in the freezer. That's the best place to put them. Now, if you don't measure this out right, what happens is you'll break your machine. I've already done that. Like I said, you learn from my mistakes. Because it has to be of a consistency to get through here. If it's too wet or too dry, and you don't do it right, it locks up in here and that motor will end up breaking everything. You have to buy the whole thing here. The motor you don't have to, but you'll be buying everything else. Okay, we got that part done. Get a bowl and you're going to beat 2 eggs. Okay, let's see. Do I have a fork there? I'm going to beat these eggs thoroughly. There's a shell in there. Dang. Okay, let's see if I can get it out. No. I want the shell out. I gotta dig for the shell. I'm not putting a shell in my pasta. Somebody will go crunch and love to inform me you missed it. That's really weird. I don't know if this is going to work. Ah, there you are. Oh, you sucker. Oh, man. He's trying to run away from me. I'm not going to go through the straightener. All right. Right now you're going to see somebody very frustrated trying to catch an eggshell. I'll be back. I got the sucker. Okay, now going back to this again. Now, you are going to add water till it goes up to the 2 cups right up there. You see those 2 cups? That's where we have to add cold water to. Hold on, I'm also making yogurt behind you. So I'm checking the temperature of my yogurt as well. Trying to get it down to where it has to be. One more minute, and that will be ready. Now, for you who are not using a machine and want to do it by hand, and you're using these measurements, I will measure out the egg and water so you know exactly where it will be in case you want to do it that way. Two-thirds of a cup. It actually adds up to 2/3 of a cup. And you take the ratios of the flours and then you say, look, I want to roll it out myself. I don't want to use a machine. Well, that's what it is. Sandra, you have to read. Okay. Now, these noodles, you can make them as long or as short as you want. I'm not going to tell you what size you have to make them, but I use this machine. But I've also bought a manual one. I'll show you. Because I have a pasta machine that shows me how to make other ones and stuff, pastas and stuff, and this is what I had to get for it. Plus, this does not make lasagna or stuffed shells, whereas this one can put the dough thin enough so I can do this. Now, if you're good by your hands and you can roll it as thin as they want, God bless you. In my book, I can. So I got this to help me to roll those out that I cannot make with this machine. So if you want to make your own ravioli, I recommend getting that manual. That one's from Italy. And they explain how you go through it. You know, you have to roll it after you work it and it rests for 30 minutes. Then you run it through the machine, but you've got to run it at the widest. And after you run it through that, you flour it, and you roll it through again and again and flour it. But it's interesting how it's done. And then I can cut out my lasagnas. I can cut out bow ties if I wish, or other things, or if I want to make my ravioli, or make those other ones that you pack in your phone. I don't know the names of all of them. You think I would be an Italian, but I don't. So anyway, I'll see you after. Okay, it's taking a break and then it's going to start pushing it through. And they say the first part, throw out. And it's really true. You have to throw the first little part out because it's semi-dry because it was mixing up, you know, everything. And I can't bring you over here because there's no room. Continue now just making them and just putting them into the plate. This is all I'm going to do. Just decide the length I want. Just cut it like that. And then when I go to put it into the pot, I'll be back. See how nice they're coming out? There they are. Now let me get back to my work. While I'm finishing up with that, here's what they look like. Let me see if I turn it down. I haven't cooked them yet, but I just want to show you what the machine does. Isn't that nice how it does that? When you first start it, any batch you do, they separate and you just clip them off and then all of a sudden they'll start coming whole. It's like the first batch isn't quite mixed. So that's, I mean, the first parts, but not the first batch. The first part of it that comes out. That's why you saw me scraping it off and throwing it there, waiting till it came. And then when it got like this, then I sat there and did it. But I wanted to show you. It makes all right, let me get back to it. Okay, it's done. Now, because I added salt in my pasta, I am not adding salt to my water. Or you wish to say to the whey. Now, homemade pasta is going to cook a lot faster than the one you get in the store. So you're going to have to be careful. What am I doing? I'm making macaroni and cheese, but this time I don't have any cheddar cheese. I finished using up my cheddar. So I am going to use Swiss cheeses. Packaged Swiss cheese about so big. I'm sorry I can't bring you any closer. And I'm melting 1 stick of butter in this other pot in the back. I'll move it to the front when this is done. I tell you, I hate cooking. I gotta cook in the summer when it's 90, 95 degrees. I hate cooking at that temperature. I love cooking, but when it hits that temperature, it's really, really hard. So I get up early, try to get as much done as, it's only 7 something. But I know that temperature is going to start climbing. I've got to get this done before then. Now we're going to make a roux. I'm using whole wheat flour because I know the Swiss has a bite and a half on it. A lot of people don't like Swiss cheese for that one reason. I know the whole wheat has a flavor which will sort of balance it out so it's not so strong for people who don't like Swiss. Now when you start using a pasta machine, you're going to have trouble with it because you really don't know what to look for. You got to feel your way through it. I'm not lying to you, I'm letting you know. When I first started, I was having some problems with it. But it was easy enough. I tried doing it by hand. Believe you me, I am not the greatest pro to get it. Every time I got it that thin, it went shoot back up. I said, this is it. I can't do this. I need some help here. So if you're going to make pasta, I would recommend starting with these two flours together. They're easier to work with. When you start working with the whole wheat stuff, you have a little bit of a problem and you have to adjust accordingly for it. I wonder if I could sit there and make in-corn pasta. Yeah, I'm already going there too, so I'm saying maybe if I should try making spaghetti, which is a thicker, strand of pasta, and running it through the machine here and see what happens with it. Because it's glucose free. Toast your roux. And a roux is equal amounts of flour and butter. You have it on a low flame because you don't want to burn it, but you want to toast that flour. And it does smell like toast. Turn it really well because I gotta get this one. I don't want to burn it. waste that we have in fruits and vegetables, you can actually put out in the yard, you know. But people don't think about it. You're going to need 2 cups of milk. And anybody who sees me at the grocery store and is a subscriber or sees my videos, you can see where all the milk goes. And they say, that's an awful lot of milk you buy. Yes, but I use it all. A lot of people don't know where a lot of milk goes. Oh, that's good. Come on, move. Come on, move. Don't walk, Kathy. Take a leg. Are you telling me I'm not? No, I'm not. I will be right back. Okay, I had to get the powdered milk. My son did not tell me. Oh, I'm putting in about a 1/2 cup. I always do. It's high in protein. It's got other good things in it. About a teaspoon of salt. If you're using this mixture, you're not going to actually taste the salt, but the body will know that it's getting iodine, so you don't have to worry. Add your pepper. They mostly say 1/4, but I always add more. Now you can add anywhere from 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne to a 1/2 teaspoon. So judge what your family can take and adjust accordingly. I had That's not here. So you could say this one's going to have a kick to it. Yeah, it will. Now your flour should have a lovely, buttery, toasty smell to it. You pour your milk and seasonings in. And put your cheese in. This time I'm using Swiss cheese. Sometimes I add Swiss cheese and cheddar, which I've already told you that you can do if you wish. So this is going to be an easy lunch. We're just having franks and I think butternut squash and macaroni and cheese. And that's pretty much it today. Tried and true recipes, and they sit there and they will add a pinch of this, and they say, see, I made my own recipe. No, you took a basic recipe and you changed it. That's why I tell you what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Oh God, it's hot. We liked our macaroni and cheese baked, so I'm going to be baking mine. I'll be sprinkling wheat germ on it, but if you don't want to use wheat germ, you can use breadcrumbs. You can use Italian breadcrumbs if you wish. I don't like the Italian breadcrumbs on this. I'd rather put the wheat germ or just plain breadcrumbs. If you don't have any breadcrumbs and you have a bread, toast it, grater it, and you can make your own breadcrumbs, which I've shown you how to do that as well. Women had to do all this stuff before. It didn't depend upon the companies. They learn and stuff. I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't think the government would allow certain things to happen. And sure enough, it did. We don't own our government anymore. They like the power, they wheel over us. And they used to have to come to us for bills and for money, and if they had a project, they had to ask the people. And the people would give them money by buying U.S. savings bonds. And that's how they got the money. Those people didn't have an open checkbook like they have today. They didn't have that. They took a loan, but it was against us, the American people. You took the loan and you had to pay us back, and if you didn't pay us back, you were in trouble because you had to answer to us. The president, the Congress, when I say Congress, I mean the House and the Senate, they answer to us, we the people, not us answer to them. They answer to us. Always remember that. All my life, I grew up answering to everybody, be it the police, be it my teachers, be it the principal, be it my neighbors, be it the pastor, be it my parents. And they would report to my mother and my father if I did anything, even my brother. We got in trouble. Now, I'll tell you a doozy of a story. My mother, we got whipped every Saturday. And that whipping was for general principle. And you have to understand it. My mother caught us, she whipped us. All right? But we got away with it. That was the whipping we got on Saturday, which was general principle. And when she said general principle, getting whipped for general principle, we swore to God it was a spy in the house. My two brothers and I, we looked up, down, under the bed. Every time we went to go do something, we looked, where was General Principal? Because he's going to squeal on us and get us in trouble. Mommy believes him before us. Finally, one day, James got, because he was the oldest, Jimmy got to school, and he learned about General Principal. And he marched up to Mommy, because he told Chino and I what General Principal were. We looked, really? You know, he went up and he told her, there's no general principle, Mommy. And she died laughing. She did not know that we thought it was general principle. There was a real person who was spying on us. And every time we did something, we were looking to see if we could find general principle. You never know what children think. My mother fell out laughing so hard. She did not know that we thought General Principal was a real person squealing on us. And he wasn't a nice person because he was always tattletale. And we would even swear, to each other. We promise, we swear we won't tell. We won't tell. The General Principal still came every Saturday. We could not figure out how she knew. It drove us crazy. See, children don't get punished today. Man, we got whipped. My backside was up in the air more times than I wished. But you know what? It taught me respect. It taught me to answer for my actions. I had to be responsible for my actions. It kept me in line knowing who I was and my place in the family and my place in society. So everybody can say that was cruel. But I would not be the person I am today. Because really, I answered to everybody. I didn't know the government answered to me. I answered to everybody, so I figured I had to answer to the government too. No. I learned that as senior that was in government class that we, the people, are the bosses. So when parents don't raise their children and getting their license, they're letting them go free and do what they want. We could end up losing our freedoms at a drop of a pen. So that's when I learned I didn't have to answer to anybody as an adult. If I got married, I answered to my husband. I answered to God. But the government answered to me. That was such a good feeling. Somebody had to answer to me. I was answering to everybody. I said, dang. And then I learned one day, my senior year, that the government answers to the American people and that we're the boss. That was such a nice thought. So I thank my mother and father every day for the whippings, the spankings, the scolding, because I wouldn't be the woman I am today if I didn't have all that. And all the neighbors who corrected me, my grandparents who corrected me, my parents, the teacher, the principal who spanked me. Yeah, I got the paddle too, mouthing. You know, get those hormones that we just think we're the coolest things. We find out we're not. So that was a big lesson for me to learn. But it was the nicest lesson to learn. So I told myself when I got older, the government wants something, they're going to have to ask me for money. And I want it put in those savings bonds so they'll come back. And if the government gives you something, then dang well, no, they're going to want it back. But you're the boss. Isn't that such a nice thought to think that you're the boss of the government? I'm going to bake this at 350 until it bubbles up the sides. You'll see it bubbling, so you'll know when it's done. Now, why do I grease the pan before I put this in? Because it's hard to clean if you don't. That's why I grease them. That's why parents feel like, you know, they're a slave to their children boss them around. Mm-mm. The government answers to us, the people. Just because people protested stuff doesn't mean the government's going to move in that direction. I learned that too in school. Let's see. We could have Romano Parmigiano. Oh, we'll put Parmigiano on it again. So I just gave you some geography today, and that's all because we were threatened all our little lives when we were young about general principle. That's it, Cindy. Cut your finger. So see, macaroni and cheese doesn't have to be that boring. You can just sit there and have a ball with it. So as much as my brother and I hated General Principal was really our best friend because he was really looking out for us. Okay, when that hits 350, I'm going to put it in the oven until this thing is boiling, and then it will be done because it will be heated through. And that is pretty much it. And I am just going to boil the franks. These are boarhead, but I find them a bit salty. So I'm going to sit there and boil them in some water, which will cut back on the salt in it, which I like better. So you take care. You don't have to see what macaroni and cheese looks like. I'll do a short on it and you'll see it then. Take care and enjoy your day. By the way, we're going back up to the 90s, so be safe.